Welcome to Rocky River Presbyterian Church and our Wednesday evening devotions. We are glad that you are with us this evening. We're still in the book of Romans, Romans chapter 14, verses 1 through 12. Now remember that Paul is writing to this church in Rome and they are in conflict with each other, and he's trying to unify them in Christ. I'll be reading selective verses tonight from Romans 14. Welcome those who are weak in the faith, but not for the purpose of quarreling over opinions. Who are you to pass judgment on servants of another? We do not live to ourselves, and we do not die to ourselves. If we live to the Lord, and if we die to the Lord. So then, whether we live or whether we die, we are the Lord's. For this end, Christ died and lived again, so that he might be Lord of both the living and the dead. We can learn a lot from our passage today. One thing we learn for sure is that there have always been differences in a faith community, whether in the first century in Rome or whether today, here in Concord, Harrisburg, North Carolina. The thing is that Paul says to denounce one another over opinions is a rather ugly thing to do. To condemn another person of faith just because they don't agree with you is antithetical to our faith, according to Paul. None of us lives to ourselves alone, Paul tells us. If we live to the Lord. And Paul wants us to know that if we live to the Lord, then that means we live for each other in our community of faith as well. For Paul, unity is not our politics, it's not our sports teams, it's not our social strata. It's the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So how does that work for us today? Because in any church, there are many different views about politics or social issues, just like in the church of the first century in Rome. But Paul tells us today that when we have different opinions, that's okay, because we are the church and we are bonded together through Jesus Christ. And since we are bonded together as a community of faith, when everyone doesn't share our opinion, we don't just take our basketball and go home. A follower in Christ does not live to his or her own gratification. You know, too often folks come to the church asking, what can we get out of this? What do I get out of this? What can my family get out of being a part of the programs here? When maybe the question we should be asking is, how am I helping others grow in faith? How is my family contributing to proclaiming the good news of the gospel here in this community of faith? You know, if we are too consumed with what am I getting out of this? What is my family getting out of this? That might be an area of our faith we might wish to examine. Paul calls us to focus on our own imperfections and not the imperfections of others around us, for we're the ones who must give an account. And ultimately for Paul, the center, the unity of a church is the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus and the grace that he offers to each and every one of us. That's what holds us together in the first century and now. So this evening at Rocky River Presbyterian Church, may our central focus be Jesus Christ and Him crucified. May we judge others less and focus more on our own shortcomings. May we remember that the Christian faith is not a journey we make alone. We sojourn with other believers, diverse believers, folks with different opinions all along the way. We do not live to ourselves, and we do not die to ourselves. If we live to the Lord, and if we die to the Lord. So whether we live or whether we die, we belong to the Lord. Well, thanks for being with us this evening at Rocky River Presbyterian Church for our Wednesday evening devotional time. Remember, be safe, and be well, and be the church.